From my experience of undertaking current forms of landscape assessment, I've always felt that there's been a push towards subjectivity with an emphasis on user perception, which is quite a personal way of assessing the landscape. That is why I see there's an opportunity for a more objective approach to be considered, and that's why I'm proposing an ecosystem services-based approach towards landscape assessment. So my aims for this project are firstly to establish a more rational approach to landscape assessment, to develop a methodology based on ecosystem services. Now, I've written a guidance document that features this methodology, and I will be referring back to this throughout the presentation. And then this methodology is to be applied to a relevant planning issue, and the example I'm using in this presentation is promoting renewable energy within the landscape. So what are ecosystem services? They are the benefits humankind obtain from the natural environment. So if we look at some examples, starting with woodlands. Now, woodlands are firstly good at providing us with timber, but also are good at regulating our climate. Moving on to more man-made elements such as dry stone walls. The dry stone walls are firstly good for erosion regulation, but also have a cultural heritage associated with them. And finally, if we move on to more land use, and in particular our rural land use, which is dominated by agriculture. And from agriculture, food provision is one of the main services we get. On page 22 in the guidance report, there's an official list of the ecosystem services, and this was derived in 2005 by the Millennium Ecosystem Assessment, where the idea of ecosystem services really began to take off. Now, I feel that this list isn't exhaustive by any means, and other services should be considered if necessary. For example, I'm looking at putting renewable energy as one of these services, as I feel it is something we can gain from a natural environment. The site I'm looking at is the Derbyshire Dales, not including the Peak District National Park, but looking more at the District Council Planning Authority area. Now, the reason I've chosen this site is firstly because it is a local authority area, so the methodology can feature within the local development framework, but also because there's currently a very limited amount of renewable energy within Derbyshire. And this just shows how little there is currently with and just outside of the site, with one wind farm and a couple of biomass energy crop schemes. So we can now begin to look at the methodology, and I think firstly it's important we look to build upon landscape character rather than disregard it completely, as it's still an influential tool within planning. So pages 4 to 6 in the guidance report, you can look at how I approach this. What I've done is taken an existing landscape character assessment for the Derbyshire Dales, which was done in 2007, and I've looked at the different character areas and the different characteristics that make up the landscape. And from these characteristics, I've looked at the different ecosystem services that can be found. So for example, if we look at the open moors character area, now open moors have important archaeological features, which have a cultural heritage and an educational service associated with them. They also have raw peat soils and blanket bog, which are good for regulating our climate and good for water quality regulation. So if we follow this process of looking at all the characteristics that make up the landscape and looking at the different ecosystem services, we can begin to build up a list that then require further assessment, and that's when the methodology we begin to look at the methodology at the local authority scale. Now, for this I've used GIS to collect different data, including land use and land cover, but it's also an opportunity to see the beneficiaries. These are the people that benefit from ecosystem services, whether at a local, national or global scale. So if we look at woodland, as mentioned previously, timber provision is one of the key services we gain from woodland, and this can be benefited by people at a global scale, and then woodlands also offer many other services. Moorlands are good at regulating our climate, which benefits people at a national scale. Water sources, so these are open water sources and also underground sources such as aquifers. Now, the main service we get from these are freshwater provision, which benefits people at a global scale. And then semi-natural grasslands offer a biodiversity value, which can be benefited by people at a national scale. Improved grasslands, so this looks at more land use, such as dairying, stock rearing, or both. And from this, food provision is one of the main services we get and benefits people at a global scale. And then finally, arable agricultural land, again, benefits people at a global scale with food provision as the main service. So what we can then begin to do is overlay these different data sets on top of one another. And what it begins to do is build up a picture of currently where there is an ecosystem service provision at the local authority scale, but more importantly, it identifies areas where there are no services at the local authority scale. And if we overlay the landscape character assessment that I talked a few minutes ago about, it's quite interesting to see how the areas with no identified services in the yellow tends to spatially follow the landscape character areas, which is in the white outline. So here I've taken a different method of assessing the landscape, but the results have actually come out quite similar. However, what my methodology does is reveals a series of subsites, and in this case 7 subsites have been revealed, where ecosystem services need to be explored further at a local scale. So my aims for the project at this stage are to analyse the types of ecosystem services from the landscape elements. Now for this, this required field survey studies, and on page 12 to 13 in the guidance report you can see an example of the field survey sheet that I've used. And what it was looking at the different elements that make up the landscape, firstly locating where they are, but then looking at the different ecosystem services that can be found amongst them. And then it's important to record the level of impact of each ecosystem service. Now this was assessed by firstly the quality and also the quantity of each landscape element. And then once we record all the results, we can begin to map the results. And here it just shows visually with the darker colour representing a high impact and the lighter colour representing a low impact ecosystem service. And here are just a few of the ecosystem services I've looked at, and just shows how we can look at them mapped, which creates a much clearer picture. And then the final stage is classifying the overall landscape value, and this is where the criteria really takes an objective approach. So if you turn to page 14 in the guidance report, you see an example of how to classify a landscape value. In the middle table, under number of impacts, in the columns on the right, you will see that each level of impact has been given a set value. So for example, low is 1, low to medium is 2, and so on. I've taken the ecosystem services with these specific impacts and placed them under the appropriate value. So for example, if we look at area A within the roaster subsite, there are 3 ecosystem services identified with a low impact, these being fibre, timber and air quality. There are 2 ecosystem services with a low to medium impact, these being food and natural hazard regulation, and the rest of the 9 ecosystem services identified have a medium impact. Taking these quantities and by multiplying them by the relevant set value, the totals are combined to give the overall landscape value, which for this example is 34. Then once this has been done for all the areas within all the subsites, again we can map the information to build up a visual picture of currently where there is high landscape value in relation to ecosystem services, which is represented by the darker colour, and also where there is low landscape value in relation to ecosystem services, which is represented by the lighter colour. So now we can begin to look at where we can promote renewable energy within the landscape. And the first site is in the Derbyshire subsite, and it's a site that's been identified as having low landscape value in relation to ecosystem services. And that's why I'm looking at promoting either a wind or solar farm to increase the landscape value of the site. The next scheme then looks at a similar approach. It's another site that's been identified as having a low landscape value in relation to ecosystem services. It features within the Worksworth subsite. Now for this I've looked at what's currently there, the existing land use, and for this it's arable agriculture. So I'm looking at working with this, and that's why I'm proposing a energy crop scheme, therefore to increase the value of the landscape furthermore, but not to alter the landscape drastically. And then the third and final renewable energy scheme I'm proposing takes a different approach. What the ecosystem services form of assessment allows us to do is look at individual ecosystem services and how well they're performing within the landscape. Now this final site is within the roaster subsite, and roaster has a historical significance to the mill industry, with water power used to drive these mills. That is why I feel it's appropriate to bring in a hydropower renewable energy scheme, as the site currently has been identified as having a high cultural heritage ecosystem service, and then this type of renewable energy will be able to work with that and really reflect on the historical significance. And then I envisage the ecosystem services assessment to be done prior to other forms of assessment. So whether it's in your environmental impact assessments, whether it's your landscape and visual impact assessment or ecological impact assessment. Also, I think particularly for renewable energy, it's important to look at more technical data such as wind speeds, solar radiation and river discharge in order for the schemes to work. So finally, where can I see the ecosystem services approach being used next? Well, I think first it's important that we introduce ecosystem services within the community, looking to educate the community on what ecosystem services are. I also feel that if this methodology is to progress, it will be quite interesting to look at different stakeholders and their views, and whether they may think a particular service is regarded higher than another service. So one individual may feel that food provision is much more important than cultural heritage within a landscape, whereas another individual may feel that cultural heritage is much more important than food provision. And by public consultation and looking at people's views, we can begin to incorporate this into the methodology as it develops. And then finally, I've kept the guidance report and kept it fairly generic, and this is because I can see it being used on other planning issues, not just renewable energy. So an example maybe is fracking, which is obviously a huge issue at the moment. And what the ecosystem service approach allows us to do is look at currently where there is high landscape value and where there is low landscape value. And this may then decide whether fracking is or is not suitable amongst a particular landscape.